Good evening or hello, wherever you may be, race fans. Welcome back to another episode of the NASCAR show for post-race for the ISM Raceway, formerly known as Phoenix International Raceway race, the Ticket Guardian 500. Kyle Busch takes home his first win of the 2019 season, his 199th win across all three series, so pretty big milestone coming up for him. He sweeps the weekend, winning the Xfinity and the Cup race, passing Ryan Blaney late. Martin Truex Jr., Ryan Blaney, Eric Almirola, Denny Hamlin, your top five. Then it was Kyle Larson, Kurt Busch, Jimmy Johnson, Kevin Harvick, and Joey Logano. It's your top 10 at Phoenix. Other notables, Clint Boyer was 11th. Ryan Newman and Ricky Stenhouse. So Roush Fenway finishing 12th and 13th. Chase Elliott finishing in 14th after having the start violation at the very beginning of the race. Ty Dillon was 15th. Brad Keselowski 19th. Austin Dillon 21st. William Byron, after having a good qualifying run, was 25th. Eric Jones was 29th. He blew a tire early in the race. Alex Bowman also had tire issues. He DNF'd. He finished in 35th. All right. So
this is the first endeavor for short track racing, Alex, right? With the new aero package.
Mm-hmm.
Did we see anything different? I mean, I saw pretty much again not a lot of competition going on here. I mean, a dominant team once again, and Kyle Busch is the guy. I mean, he's doing everything, but is this aero package working, or are they still figuring it out?
I think it's still being worked on and everything. Steve O'Donnell mentioned after, I think, Vegas or Atlanta, he's like it's good, but we're not satisfied. What was I just going to bring up? I swear I was going to bring up something I completely escaped my mind.
Okay.
Oh.
We'll find it.
Oh, I remember now. The track, Phoenix, or ISM Raceway it's now called, it got reconfigured. If you don't know, the start and finish line got moved to that dog leg, and it actually has created some really fun, interesting starts and restarts. That first occurred back in the fall, and this is the second time they've ran it under this new configuration. So it's still the same length and everything. They just pit road didn't move either, so it's kind of on the backstretch too, which makes things a little more interesting. So, keep that in mind too.
This is actually one of the tougher. This in Martinsville. Is it Martinsville or Bristol? Two of the toughest pit roads to get in and out of because the track's so short. Yeah, I mean, just the length of time you have to travel at whatever pit road speed is devastating to anybody if you have to make an unscheduled pit stop. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Bobby, what did you see?
Well, I saw three fast cars there at the finish, and it was a long stretch of laps without any caution at the very, very end. And so the fuel became a big issue there, and Kyle Busch did a wonderful job just being able to still go fast yet conserve fuel. And Blaney had to slow down. He had the lead there, and you thought for a second he might be able to hold him off, but you found out quickly that he was getting every lap. Kyle was shaving some time off, and, he passed him, I think, at the 16-lap mark or 18. And then by the time it finished, Truex actually passed Blaney for second. So it became a fuel thing at the end, and it had about 10 cautions overall, Alex, and they all came together, it seemed like, and then it finished with none. It was kind of a strange race in terms of the cautions.
Yeah, some guys there seem to be quite a few tire issues. Eric Jones blew a tire. Alex Bowman blew a tire. Michael McDowell had that incident too. So yeah, there's a few guys have had just issues with blowing tires in this race.
Well, and I watched the pre-race. I got to see the pre-race the entirety. And Goodyear was kind of concerned about that they may not have got the tires right for this track because of the reconfiguration. Is that probably what contributed to some of this?
Yeah, that's definitely a possibility.
Yeah. And the racing was really good on the restarts. I think what they've come up with on the package, it's allowing really good racing and passing on the restarts, and then once it got into longer runs, it was the follow the leader type stuff.
Okay, and that's good. Bobby, that's a great point. And that's the thing one of the things I wanted to address is the restarts. They've got the restarts down because restarts are fun to watch.
They are.
They get them good, but then it strings out right again like it did in all the previous times I've watched NASCAR, and I've been watching NASCAR. I'm 60 years old, so I've watched NASCAR for probably 40 years. But it strings back out again, and the dominant car prevails. And that's the question. Is this package really working to make the sport more competitive or just wreaking havoc on restarts?
Well, the idea, I think, of it was trying to make racing closer. We get that for like the first 7 to 15 laps varying on the track, and then, as you said, it just kind of strings out. But I do feel like, though, within the field, not just up front, but going back in the field like 10th, 11th, 12th, there is a lot of passing. I looked up some comparisons, and I saw that Atlanta and Vegas, I think, had more passes under this new package. Excuse me. So
I think if you talk to a lot of people, they're saying that although it's too early to really draw, make your final judgment, they're saying that they think it is working, that there is, some positives, and it's going to work. This is the predictions from what I'm reading. That give it time and it's going to work, and So I think overall we have to just be patient and see what happens from week to week.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing, especially where this package works at a track like Kentucky, in which, obviously.
Oh, you just want to do that because it's closer to home. You can go to the race. Give me a break.
Well, except for the pass.
That's like Bobby and I are going to Auto Club Speedway and watch the race out there. And what the hell town is that in, Bobby? Where's that? It's out there on 5010.
It's in Fontana.
Fontana, yeah. So we're going to go there and watch that race. And you just want to go to Kentucky because that's where you want to watch that race. So that's not a great track. Kentucky's not a great track.
That's why I want to see the aero package work at that track. See if anything, improves.
Yeah, Bobby and I are going to go sit at a 1.5-mile track in Fontana and bake in the sun. When is that race, Bobby? When does that race occur?
I don't remember exactly.
Yeah, I don't either. But I'll
next Sunday.
It might be. Is it coming up?
Yeah, next Sunday.
Is Fontana?
Oh, well, we're not doing that then. I have plans for next Sunday. I can't go. They have two races out there, don't they? Don't they come back in the fall?
They used to, but not anymore.
Oh,
yeah, they lost.
Bobby, we got to figure this out. You're going to have to talk. I got to figure this out.
That's all right.
There's Sonoma later in the year.
Yeah, Sonoma's
okay.
Up north.
Let's talk about the some highs and lows here. First off, Bobby, I want to ask you, as an analyst, is Kyle Busch the most bankable driver in NASCAR right now?
I think he is. I mean, I think Kevin Harvick could have laid claim to that coming into this year based on his dominance last year. I mean, I know Logano won the Cup, but, I mean, Harvick was very dominant. But, he owned this track, and if you look at that, Kyle, what he's done these last couple races and just his car control and everything, I think the answer to your question is yes. It seems like Harvick's still the top dog with the betting, but maybe that's part of the Ford thing. But, what you saw today and what you saw last week, and, I think Kyle, I think he is number one, and Harvick's probably falling back, taking a step back from him.
All right, and Alex, we got 3 Toyotas in the top 5. Who's the better manufacturer right now? I mean, Chevy's out of the picture right now. I mean, you got Larson and Busch finishing 6th and 7th, and then Jimmy Johnson. We'll talk about Jimmy Johnson. Who's the best manufacturer? Who's got the aero package more figured out right now? Is it Toyota or is it Ford?
I I think I might side with Ford a little bit, just out of Penske and Stewart-Haas Racing. But there is the argument for Toyota as well. Kyle Busch, Truex, Denny Hamlin in the top 5, and in the Ford range you had Blaney, Amarola, Harvick, and Logano. So I think I'm leaning a bit more towards the Ford camp right now.
So is the package more figured out by the engineers of the team, Stewart-Haas Racing, or by JGR? I mean, where is that happening at right now? Because now, I'm looking at the finishing list right now, and, yeah, I mean, in the top 13, over half of them are Fords. So
yeah,
is it a collaborative effort on Ford? Is dumping more money into it, or is it driver?
I definitely think it's just Ford figuring it out. Ford doing a really good job at adjusting the aero package. I think Roush Fenway to me looks performance-wise better under this package. I think this package does benefit some teams too. As I said, Roush, they look like to be benefiting from it pretty well.
Who's the top Roush driver that finished today? Let me see. You got Blaney drives Penske, Amarola drives for SHR, Stewart-Haas Racing. Hamlin goes for JGR. Larson is – so who's the top Roush driver?
Ryan Newman's 12th and Ricky Stenhouse.
Yeah. Okay. And okay. And you think Roush is coming back into the fold?
It's possible. They seem to. We'll see. It's so early, but I think it's going to be benefiting on a track like Phoenix. We'll see how they can push this, especially onto tracks like Auto Club and later on down the schedule.
So is Phoenix considered a short track, Alex?
It's a 1 mile track. I would say I like to call it an intermediate short track. In between the mile and a half, in between short track. It's right there in between. Yeah.
So I'm just trying to figure out, the aero package, because I think the aero package is what's dictating everything that's going on right now in the sport. I think some cars have got it figured out, but I wanted to see it on. We now see it on Super Speedway. Well, actually, on Daytona they ran the old package anyway, right? Correct.
Yeah. Correct.
They didn't, and then they went to Atlanta. And now we're on we're on a mile and a half. Now we're on a short track, and I'm still seeing the same cars win and the same brands win. Yeah. So, here's the deal. Let's talk about Jimmy Johnson. Did he have a good day today in your eyes, guys?
My eyes.
Competitive.
He was competitive early in the middle, and he had a top 10 car. He was not competitive to win the race, but he was, showed flashes and finished in the top 10.
Yeah, I think Johnson did look competitive. Top 10, not a top 3 car. Obviously, he played with a couple pit strategies. I know early in the race he had like a 2-tire stop while everyone else had a 4-tire stop. But, yeah, I think Johnson ran pretty well today, honestly. I saw him pretty much closer to the front in this race instead of, being a lap down in like 24th. So,
well, he finished 8th. And from what I saw of the racing, he was on TV a lot, which means he probably is in the hunt somewhere along, what's going on. Is this hopeful that we want him to win again, or because you kind of get in that Tiger Woods mode? Are we back, Bobby? Are we in that Tiger Woods mode with him? Like we want him to win because he's got 14 majors, he got 7 championships, and we kind of now all of a sudden start rooting for the guy that we hated because he was winning them all the time. Now we kind of want him to win again. Is that how we're going with Jimmy Johnson now?
I can see where you're going. I think if Johnson kept it up, that might be a year from now or a year and a half. I don't think we're there quite yet, but it's getting close. And I think he is coming through his doldrums a bit. Sometimes drivers get off that cycle and it's no longer their time, and he had such a long run at it. But he might be coming through that, and if he sticks around and continues to race, we'll probably have Tiger Woods, again. But we're wanting him to and hoping he does, and might be a little early on that.
Okay, Alex, Clint Bowyer, is he worth the money?
I think so. He, when you look at Bowyer, 2012, he had a really good championship contending season. Was his first year with MW, Michael Waltrip Racing. Things just pretty much kind of went downhill. 2016, he drove that 1 year for H. Scott Motorsports. He was pretty much ready to go over Stuart Haas. It was just pretty much like a 1 year stint. Goes over to Stuart Haas. Last year, got a couple wins. I felt like Bowyer was actually pretty impressive. I think he's really at the top of his career at this point. Driving, this is probably the best ride he's been in his entire career. You can probably compare that to when he drove for Richard Childress, but that's how I see with Bowyer. I think Boyer's still a pretty good driver.
Okay, so he stays around with Stuart Haas Racing?
Yeah, like I said, a couple wins last year. Ran pretty well, got pretty far into the playoffs as well.
Okay, and again, I'm going down the list now, and I see nothing out of Hendrick Motorsports. You got Johnson finishing 8th. Is that the highest? That's the highest Hendrick car, right?
Yeah.
Then you got Elliott, Elliott is the darling of NASCAR, and my favorite driver. So I'll admit that. But we're not seeing anything out of Hendrick. What is wrong with Hendrick?
And that's the thing, too, because they qualified well. Elliott qualified second. Yeah. I think Bowman and Byron qualified top 10. Johnson qualified 14th. So I was thinking, okay, they're going to show some speed here. And I thought Elliott was going to, and then that start violation, I think, set him back a bit. Byron, I was hoping Byron, he ran well early, and then he just kind of drifted back. Alex Bowman had tire issues, wrecked a couple of times. Really tough day for him. Not the best of days. Johnson, and the thing with Johnson is he's pretty much the old guy kind of showing the younger guys the tricks now, it feels like. He's 42, 43 years old. The others are like, average age of like 25. So, yeah, it is worrisome for Hendrick. I'm more so worried about Chevrolet as a whole and how they're performing. I actually now am believing that Chip Ganassi is the better performing Chevy team right now, judging by these first 4 races anyway. And obviously Larson and Kurt Busch, 6 and 7.
Right.
And after that,
7, right. Yeah. So. And Bobby, I don't want to put you on the spot because if you don't, I know you are new into NASCAR, and we love having you on the show. And we want you to be a part, and it's great. How important is a relationship? And either one of you address it between the crew chief and the driver to give feedback, to put in, to dial in the car. How important is that?
Well, I think it's everything. Here? I think it's everything. Everything that I've read, everything that I've watched, things that I've heard is that, the driver really can only be as good as his crew chief, as his guy. And with Knaus and Johnson splitting, is that a big part of Jimmy Johnson's, backward descent or I don't know. I that's a good question, isn't it? I think it's big. I think I don't know. Am I wrong, Alex?
Well, you make good points there, and it's also about the crew chief and the driver communicating well, showing good chemistry. If because sometimes you want to try and pair up a crew chief with driver with the characteristics and see if they fit well. I think that's why in 2011 Dale Jr. had that switch at crew chief because Letarte just fitted more to Dale Jr.'s style and. Junior was did a lot better in later years. That's just one comparison. So I think it comes down to chemistry, communication, and it's important.
Today, listening was fascinating. They heard the guy talking on the radio to the driver, and he was just telling him, you got 2 in, 1 out. You're still okay. They are completely in sync with each other. It's amazing. really amazing, and that chemistry, I think it's much like in other sports. I think it's really important to the overall success.
So, Bobby, it's kind of like you babysitting me on Surviving Advance, right? you tweet and text me all the time when we're on the show and telling me, and you're kind of coaching me as I'm going through, and I'm ripping on everything in the world, right? Kind of the same thing.
I don't know.
Let's call it what it is. Let's call it what it is. I mean, don't deal around with it.
I don't know about that. I'm not sure.
You chicken shit. Come on. Of course it is. All right. I don't know. I think the relationship between a crew chief, a car chief, or and the driver is important. But my concern is, Alex, are they taking the car? Are the engineers taking the car out of the driver's hands?
Yeah, I mean, especially, I think Kyle Busch said this about when he tested the aero package back in January. He said that he felt like with the aero package that it's taking more of the driving out of the driver's hands, and it's more going to be of a mental game or a chess match kind of thing. So, yeah, I do kind of feel that way. I do feel like, obviously, that, as I argued before with the car tomorrow, that the cars are, all the same in the end, which, there's the basic things that it needs, but I also feel like each car should stand out. The driver should really be able to showcase their talents, as well as the crew and manufacturers having to say in what the car should be.
All right, so I'm looking at this now, and now I'm only seeing 36 cars that started today, right? Is that correct?
Yep, there were 36 cars.
And is that like a low? I mean, it's always been 43 as far as I've ever known.
Yeah, it was.
I know 43. They dropped down to 40. Now we're down to 36. Is the sport getting too expensive?
I think that's a problem. That NASCAR just might be, it's too expensive, and I wish they could find a way to make, things more manageable and more cheaper. I think that's why, drivers having sponsors is so important anymore in NASCAR. People like to call them the paid drivers, but still, that's what helps fund the race teams. And NASCAR, I think NASCAR will work on this too. Just find ways to be more affordable, because I was 42 cars qualified for the Daytona 500, which to me made me excited, because I'm like, oh hey, we might have go homers. I remember the first Daytona 500 I watched was 2005. Like, I think 60 or 58 cars qualified for that race. So, and plus the charter system, 36 charters, and then the rest of them are open cars. I wonder if that plays a factor into it too.
Yeah, good question. That's a great. I didn't even think about that. And I remember the Indy 500. When I grew up, and again, I'm 60 years old, so I've done this for a long time. There would be 100 cars trying to qualify for 33 spots at the Indy 500.
Yeah, if I'm correct.
And now, if they can get, somebody's, Foyt's buying a car at the last minute to put some idiot driver in it just to fill out the field. I mean, am I right or wrong?
Yeah. And by the way, you bring that up. The first ever Brickyard 400, I believe, like 86 cars qualified for that race.
Yeah, I was there. Yeah,
Yeah, I bet you were. That must have been pretty cool.
I have a flag actually signed by Jeff Gordon.
That's awesome.
I bought it. I bought it at the Speedway Museum shop, but he didn't sign it for me personally. But I got one. I thought, I'm going to frame this and say this is the first one. So I've got that flag. But now you're down to, and when we went to the first Brickyard 400, it was sold out, 300,000 people there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and now if they get 50,000 at the Brickyard, it's a good day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus,
hey, Steve, on that. Steve, on that.
Go ahead, Bobby.
on that note, on the pre-race, Bob Postrace was commenting about NASCAR is going to be doing a new sponsorship deal with 4 or 5 new sponsors, and it's going to be a different type format than what they've done. And I commented below that, might sports betting be a part of that sponsorship, like we've seen in the NFL and we've seen in Major League Baseball and hockey. And he commented back, and he said yes. He said, yes, you're likely to see that. And, I thought that was interesting because I made comments underneath his stuff, a million times because I like him and I love what he tweets. And that's the first time he replied. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Well, and Bobby, is it fair to say, I think NASCAR is the perfect follow-up to horse racing. It's racing. It's going fast. It's cars, everybody going at each other. And it's the perfect betting venue. Is it not, or is it true or not?
Well, I think they're sure hoping it is. So I think it's going to be a good deal. And the fact that he replied back to me, he represents NASCAR. I mean, he's the face in terms of the social media face of or voice, I should say, of the sport. And he commented back. So there was no, that's going to happen. We may have one of the big hotels or the big, sports betting things be joining forces with NASCAR announced probably this year at some point. And
so do you think NASCAR will be one of the first sports to go into pari-mutuel? And I don't bet, so I use the word pari-mutuel like I'm an idiot. So when I'm an idiot, I get that. But like what you go to a track, like you go to Churchill Downs, and you place your money on a horse to win. Is NASCAR going to be the first one to really absorb this and do this?
I don't know
globally.
I don't know exactly what it'll look like, but I just think that there'll be tie-ins with the sponsorships and they'll be I think there will have the ability to wager there on the sites, and I don't know exactly what it'll look like though, and I don't think they even know yet exactly, but it's going to be interesting. It's going to be the next, thing I think to hit NASCAR, and I think it's neat. It's going to be a good money boost for them, and let's face it, sports betting is a big industry.
Huge, yeah. That's
and
why we love you. That's why we have you on our shows, because you're a genius and you know about it, and we want to be the leader in the sports industry at the Growing Truth, and that involves you. So that's great.
Well, I mean,
it's not by accident, Bobby. It's not by accident.
I've said this.
It's by design.
I'm no genius, that's for sure. But I have it's my profession, and I have a feel for it. And on that end, I want to compliment Alex. Our panel, it's not that easy to do. And we just hit 3 out of 4 races.
Yeah, I know, and I haven't picked a winner yet. Okay, good. So go ahead and rub it in, Bobby. Go ahead and lay it out there that I have not picked the winner yet. Go ahead.
Steve, we are a team. So the fact that Alex has gotten the last 2, that's just like
I'm an idiot. Yeah.
We're a team. So we hit 3 out of 4, and good job, Alex. Great job picking Kyle Busch, and
me.
Okay.
We'll try to keep it going. Kyle was the second or third choice. I believe he was 5-1, right? Right, Alex. When we talked about those odds, wasn't he 5-1 or 4.5-1, something like that? Yeah. Not great big odds, but I mean definitely. You beat Harvick. At this track, if you beat Harvick, you're doing something good.
Okay, so Alex, we're now what are we 4 races into this thing now? Are we 4 races in? Yep. Guys like Eric Jones, Jimmy Johnson, Alex Bowman, Ryan Newman, even Chase Elliott, they're 13th, 14th, 15th, 17th points. How soon do they start racing for points as opposed to racing for wins? Because, I don't see the Hendrick cars doing very well right now. And I'm looking at Elliott at 13th. I'm looking at Eric Jones. Of course, he's with JGR. Jimmy Johnson, Alex Bowman, William Byron. How soon do these guys now start thinking about now I've got to go keep my nose clean and race for points?
I'd say not now, but I would say potentially into the summer. You look at maybe Chicagoland, Coke 0400, something along the lines of that.
When is that race? That race is like in the fall, July. Isn't it? July? Okay, well, that's the fall. That's the fall in California. When things start cooling down. I don't know. I mean, I think they get behind, and this is what hampered Elliott. And, again, I go back to Elliott because that's the guy I follow the most of all. And he just got so far down early in the year. And then he won 3 races. So, he rectified the situation. But had he not done that, he may not have made the – what do they call it now, the playoffs?
Yeah.
Yeah, and not the chase anymore. But I think you got some drivers now that are coming down here in the point standings that are like, I've got to make a move. You know, Alex Bowman has shown me nothing. He's 16th. Ryan Newman, you know, I'm sure Roush Fenway is banking on him. Not seeing a lot out of him. I think some of these guys are going to start thinking about just keep my car clean, keep it in position, and accrue as many points as I can and go from there.
Yeah, they got to figure out how to get in the top 10 more often, like they used to.
Yeah. Okay. Did you guys see the scuffle? I call it a
Daniel Suarez and Michael McDowell, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, really, like 240-pound idiots bitch slapping each other with helmets on. How funny is that? And was that good for NASCAR, or does NASCAR love that, or what? They call them both into the hauler. I heard that this morning. They called them both into the hauler and said they had a talk with them. But is that good for NASCAR, or is that bad for NASCAR?
I think it's good for NASCAR. Yeah, okay. I think it's good for NASCAR, you know. It definitely gets people talking about different things. You know, obviously this was during qualifying. Suarez was not very pleased with McDowell. And apparently the night before, the two of them were actually at a hockey game. Not together, but in, like, different groups. So,
yeah,
you know. It's racing.
Yeah.
Emotions get high. What can you do?
Yeah, it's kind of the old adage, you went to a fight and a hockey game broke out. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, okay. All right. What else we got? What else we got for today's race?
Chase Elliott's start violation. Chase Elliott believed on the radio that Ryan Blaney might have spun his tires. On that initial start of the race. That was just something I caught when I watched the race.
Did you not watch Saturday Night Live last night with R. Kelly? Or the skit on R. Kelly about how everybody cries foul whenever something goes wrong for them?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, everybody cries foul. So that happens. Right, Bobby?
Oh, I didn't see it. Some people use that as an excuse, yeah. I mean, but I didn't see the Saturday Night Live skit.
Oh, you got to watch it. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
It's good. Martin Truex, is he fitting into JGR?
Yeah, he's fitting in there pretty well, in my opinion.
Is he going to win for him?
Yeah, I think he gets about 2 or 3 wins this season. That's why I say Truex this year. Not as dominant as it was at Furniture Row in 2017 and 2018, but definitely he's still going to be up there.
Okay, and Logano finishes second again. Logano or Busch? Who do you like better, Alex?
Truex was second.
Yeah, Logano
second.
Oh, I'm looking at total points. I'm looking at points. I'm sorry. I'm looking at total points.
Yeah.
Logano's second in the points, yeah. So let me go back to the standings. My bad. Go ahead.
Yes. All right. So between the two, I would probably pick Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch, obviously, he's just – I just believe Kyle Busch is the best driver in NASCAR of this time. Obviously he wins races in pretty much anything you put him in, truck, Xfinity car, Cup car. And obviously I made a joke, by the way, on Twitter I said, and here comes the Twitter negativity and the Twitter trolls, Kyle Busch wins. That was a joke because I know how some people will be on the internet, so I had to throw that in there to be funny. But, still I you don't have to like him, but I do respect Kyle Busch for what he's done in the sport.
Yeah, I saw that, Alex, and I liked it. I liked that tweet. I laughed at that, and you're really right because here they come. As soon as he's successful, they all come out.
Yeah.
But that's what makes a great star. He's the polar. You either love him or you hate him.
Yeah, pretty much.
Steve played for a coach like that. The night you either loved him or you hated him. There was no middle ground.
Yeah, it's a great call, Bobby. You did. I mean, and I loved him. I mean, I hated him when I played for him because I didn't understand him. But then after you got away from him and you started realizing what he was doing, you started loving him. Yeah, I mean, it's really hard. I mean, and I wonder if that's what Jimmy Johnson's going to figure out, in the changes that have happened to him, whether he's going to figure out, I probably was in a better situation than I'm in now, because I don't know that he's going to win another one, without Chad. I just don't think he's going to. I think he's done, and he's ceremonial. I'm almost thinking he's ceremonial right now. Is that fair, Alex? Or do you think he's competitive?
His contract ends after 2020, and I'm predicting that he's probably going to retire after 2020. Have Noah Gragson take over for him. Still a time ways off, but
So I think maybe next year, if Alex's timeline's right, next year we might get that, Steve, where we're pulling for him to. I don't think we're quite there yet.
Okay,
but we're getting there. It's close.
Yeah, I'm just asking questions. I mean, I'm not trying to make determinations, but I think he's. I don't understand when you're sitting in the seat of a race car that's well prepared by a great organization, and you're only what is Jimmy Johnson, Alex, 43, 44 years old?
Something like that, yeah.
Crap, I drove my Chrysler 300 on the 405 at 95 miles an hour the other day, and I'm 60, so.
And be careful there, Speed Racer.
I got my California driver's license. I'm okay now. I'm not worried about it. I was worried when I had my Indiana driver's license. They pulled me over and oh, Jesus Christ, you got Indiana driver's license. You're in trouble. So it goes. All right. So we're going to where next week, Alex?
We're going to head out to Fontana, California for the Auto Club 400 at Auto Club Speedway. Auto Club.
And Bobby, let's see if we can work this out. I don't know if we can or not. I didn't realize it was this quick.
I didn't either.
I thought we had more time to plan this out. But so, mile and a half track again? What is Fontana? Is it a mile and a half?
2 miles.
2 mile?
Yeah,
but it's flat. It's basically considered a flat track.
The banking. The turns is about 14 degrees of banking. Front stretch 11 degrees, back stretch 3 degrees. So.
And what do we expect? Who's hot? I mean, Jimmy Johnson. As I believe, Jimmy Johnson has done well at Fontana. As I remember, he's won. He's won a fair amount of races out there. Is that correct?
Yeah. He got his first career win in 2002 there. He's won there 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. He last won there in 2016. So that was just 3 years ago. Kyle Larson won last year, and Oh, that's weird. It doesn't have it on there. Martin Truex Jr., I believe, won it in 2018. So those are some names.
So we see Jimmy Johnson finish 8th. We see him run the strongest right now of the Hendrick cars. Do we expect maybe he's a favorite, Bobby, in this week? Would you pick him as somebody, a good bet to bet on?
Jimmy Johnson?
Yeah. At this track. Just at this track.
Well,
he's from there, isn't he? He's from Fontana, isn't he?
He's from that area.
No, he's from that area.
I wasn't aware of that if he is. But I think there's horses for courses, and I think that, he had 6 wins, and I think there's something to be said for that when you handicap a race, for sure. I think that's something that goes into it, but that didn't do much for Harvick today. I think you just got to go with the hot hands and the people, and he's not, he just doesn't win a race, not winning races anymore. So, I wouldn't put money on him. I would probably have to go with somebody that's being more competitive, until I see something different.
Yeah, I'd say one big favorite to me, he's been very good on the 2-mile ovals, 2016, 2017, Kyle Larson. I think he's definitely one to look out for. He's been, he's won in Michigan a couple times. He won at Auto Club. So he's definitely a favorite among the Chevy camp, and possibly Chase Elliott, but we'll see.
Yeah, good call.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they'll be the usual suspects. Harvick and Busch will be 1-2. Truex will be right there, and then you got your Larsons and your Kozlowskis and your Hamlins, and it's the same guys every track, and it's the same basic odds. Sometimes it's lower, and like today Harvick was a low favorite at 3-1, and sometimes like at Daytona, the favorite's 8-1. But that's just the nature of the race, and it'll be the same guys. Just we'll see who gets it done next week. It'll be interesting. But I'll tell you what, the grueling truth, I wouldn't bet against us. We're batting 75%.
There you go. And I'm the only idiot who hasn't picked the winner yet. There you go.
Well, then
there you go. Thank you very much. Thanks for reminding me of that, Bobby. I love you. That's why you're my friend, because you call me out every chance you can.
Well, that wasn't calling you out. That was just. Well, I'll tell you what. You better do your homework next week.
It is what it is. Wrap it up. How, both you guys, in NASCAR, how much cheating do you think goes on in NASCAR?
I think it's harder to cheat now than it was back then, with all the inspection processes and everything else, honestly.
But remember, it's not cheating till you get caught. It's not cheating till you get caught.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I know people like to call Jimmy Johnson a cheater, and I was like, if he was cheating, he would have been caught a long time ago. So.
Well, we say that about Kentucky too in basketball, but they skirted everything. North Carolina skirted everything. So, Bobby, how much of that factors into your decision making every week to pick a winner? It's like, who's smarter than who else is running a car? Does that factor into your decision when you make recommendations?
Well, I mean, I think it is an overall in sports betting. I think that's like what would be the equivalent of coaching or organization or management or, So I think that overall, does have a role in everything. But, in terms of NASCAR specifically, not really. I don't think that plays, that big of a role, to try to project who's kind of maybe, getting an edge on others and who's not. I mean, I just think you look at the fact of who seems to be getting it done every week, who's getting this dialed in better, and Stewart Haas is tough to beat, and so is Joe Gibbs and those guys that are getting it done like we see. I wouldn't think more into it than that. I'm sure they all are doing things that press the limits, to try to guess who they are, I wouldn't know.
All right. Anything else, guys? Any final comments? Need to wrap up?
Don't think I have anything else to add.
Another boring race. I mean, did we get any early ratings on the show, on the race today?
Let's see.
Did we get any numbers at all?
Adam Stern will probably come out with that on Monday.
So we'll get that. So Wednesday we'll have that. We'll talk about that on Wednesday. And Bobby, you'll have odds. You'll pick the winner on Wednesday, because I sure won't. I know that. I will fail miserably once again because I'm going to pick Chase Elliott. So there you go.
Steve, you taught me this: whether you think you can or think you can't.
You're right. Henry Ford. That's not me. That's Henry Ford who said that. I do not.
But I will be prepared to. I'll be prepared with odds, and I'll be prepared with who's done well at this track and kind of some of the couple days scuttlebutt. But picking a race on Wednesday is not the most advantageous because they haven't qualified yet. Like, for instance, Larson. He was kind of a second choice for me early, but, by the time he was put to the back, I wouldn't have bet him. So that's kind of – but we pick on Wednesday, so we'll go with what we know on Wednesday. I think Alex alluded to a good driver. I think Larson, maybe firing a good shot here on Sunday. I can tell you that. I think that's one I'm going to be keeping my eye on.
Yeah, I think the snakiest team in NASCAR is Ganassi Racing, because those guys overachieve more than any other team I see. I got Kyle at 6th, Kurt Busch at 7th, and Jamie McMurray was running strong for them. I just think there's something snaky going on in that garage. Don't know it.
Well,
can't admit it. I just think I don't think that their equipment is as good as. But they're running. Alex, are they running Hendrick equipment?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're outperforming Hendrick, who's running their own equipment. There you go. Snaky. Something is fishy amongst
all right, let's talk about that on Wednesday.
Yeah. Wrap it up.
All righty. All right, so that wraps up the fourth race of the season. We continue our West Coast swing. We head off to Auto Club. Thank you guys so much for listening to today's episode of the NASCAR Show from Bobby Sheridan, Steve Risley, and myself, Alex Gray. Thank you, and have a good day wherever you may be.
Let me hang on.
Okay.